Hey guys, Provo1701 here, and today we're going to be talking about my least favorite story from each of the modern Doctors in Doctor Who. Starting with the 9th Doctor, Christopher Eccleston. And my least favorite by him is The Unquiet Dead, which is not a bad story. Eccleston doesn't have any bad stories. I think Series 1, like Series 3, doesn't have any bad stories. I think they're all good stories to varying degree. My least favorite is Unquiet Dead, just because I have trouble sitting through that one. It unnerves the crap out of me. I think when I did a video once on the scariest episode of Doctor Who ever made, and it's that one, because it's the only one that genuinely terrifies me. I don't know what it is, but it unnerves the heck out of me. I guess the way the actors play, the zombies, the makeup used on them, they move in this very inhuman way. And there's something about something that's almost human but not quite, that's extremely unnerving. You see Silent Hill use this really well with their mannequins and stuff, or zombies in Resident Evil. When there's something in your subconscious that picks up on there's something wrong here, this isn't normal, this isn't quite human. You know, like a homunculus, you know, something that's almost human but not. It's very unnerving, and this episode pulls it off really well. So it has to be my least favorite just because it did. It's the one I can't really just go back and watch from his run. For the 10th Doctor, I went with Fear Her. I don't really care for Fear Her. I find the story uninteresting. I don't like the bit with the Olympic torch. It seems a little too self-congratulatory. I don't really care much for the child actress, although it's less her fault and more that voice she has when she talks. That Chloe Webber. That voice annoys me. Like, seriously, if they redubbed that with a better voice, I'd probably like the episode a lot more. That voice just, it's like claws on a chalkboard to me. And then just the whole story going on about her dad, and I get it's supposed to be a profound message. I don't watch Doctor Who for that. I watch Doctor Who to be entertained and to escape from stuff in the real world. I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. Granted, there were some other episodes in contention for this spot, so it wasn't just like cut and dry. You know, you could easily put Love and Monsters on there. I could have easily put Turn Left on there. I don't like Turn Left either. But no, Fear Her is the one that definitely won out. The 11th Doctor. Here's where the list gets interesting. I don't have an answer for the 11th Doctor, because the 11th Doctor, and I think this is where I start to figure out how much I like Classic Who over Modern Who, because I do prefer the Classic series. I like both. Classic Doctor Who and Modern Doctor Who both have their ups and downs and middle points. I mean, there's good episodes, bad episodes, meh episodes, boring episodes, exciting episodes, in both. But when I was ranking my Classic Doctor Who Doctors, worst stories, it was very easy to do. For the most part, it would pop in my head really quick. The first Doctor, the Gunfighters. The second Doctor, the Dominators or Fury from the Deep. And it only took a couple seconds of debating for me to figure that out. The third Doctor, Time Monster. The fourth Doctor, Power of Krull, believe it or not. The fifth Doctor, Kenda. It was right there, although I had to stop and think. Kenda, Black Orchid. The sixth Doctor took a second, but not long for me to pin down. And then the seventh Doctor, again, I had almost immediately, because it was really just between Delta and Greatest Show. And so even the ones I didn't have immediately, it only took, seriously, 5 seconds of thinking about it to figure it out. I was able to pinpoint my least favorite really easily, because there's very few that I dislike to a strong degree in the Classic series. Most of the Classic Doctor Who stories, usually at the very minimum, are decent, ranging into good. There aren't a whole lot of them where I just aggressively don't like them. And it's kind of the same thing with Eccleston. I think all of Series 1 is great. Now, Tenet, it starts to get shaky. Tenet is where it starts getting rough, where I actually do have to kind of sit down and think about it for a second. But Fear Her does jump out at me fairly quickly, although, again, there are some other stories that could be in contention there. Matt Smith is the Doctor where I really can't make up my mind. Because I really think after Series 5 is when Doctor Who just becomes a mixed bag. Every series, pretty much from then on, is a mixed bag. There's no just standout series. The closest I've seen, the only series I think since Series 5 that's been just consistently good is, oddly enough, probably Series 12. Which I know, right? A Whittaker series, a Chibnall series. But I actually think Series 12 is a little underrated. Because of the 10 stories in Series 12, I think only 3 of them are not good. I think all of the others are varying degrees of good. Some of them are really good, like The Haunting of Villa Diodati, or Diodati, I forget, I never get that right. It's amazing. I love that episode. I really love that. I like the Spyfall 2-parter. I love the Tesla episode. I love Fugitive of the Jadoon. They're great episodes. I mean, The Timeless Children is utter crap. I'll admit that. And then I think Orphan 55 has a couple really good parts, but it's mostly bad. And I think Praxis is uninteresting. The rest of the series, I find really good. But everything else after Series 5 is a mixed bag. There's good stories and bad stories, with Series 9, I think, being the worst offender, because it only has, like, 4 good episodes, and I think the rest are varying degrees of crap. And so, really, when Moffat takes over, I can't just point to a Matt Smith episode and be like, that's the worst one. Just that one. Because there are so many I just don't care for. I don't really care for the Flesh, the Almost People 2-parter. I don't really like that one. The God Complex I don't like, although I wouldn't put it in my least favorite just because I think it's shot very well, it's directed very well, it's just the story's rubbish. I think Journey at the Center of the TARDIS is awful. I think Dinosaurs on the Spaceship is awful. I don't really like most of Power of 3, although it has its moments. It does have moments. I like Kate in it. I'm trying to think of some of the others. There's even some from Series 5 I don't really care for. Like, I'm not a big Vincent and the Doctor fan, but I don't think it's his worst by far. You know, so I really think with Matt, you know, The Rings of Akatan, that's kind of Matt Smith's version of the Zygon 2-parter that Capaldi has. You know, a very uninteresting episode with a great speech at the end. Does the great speech elevate it enough? I don't think so. It's still pretty bad. So I purposely, when I realized I was having this problem with picking my least favorite Matt Smith episode, I purposely stopped because I wanted to have this conversation about it. To really get across, I think, Doctor Who really getting off track here. Because I never have this problem with Classic Who. I can point to my least favorite from each Doctor very quickly, either instantly or with just a few seconds thought. But with here, right here starts where I really have to try sitting here weighing, well, there's this versus this, and but this one, but this. I don't have a definite answer. So moving on to Capaldi, immediately I start thinking, 2 pop into mind immediately, but then it requires more thought as well. Like, immediately my first thought is Kill the Moon, and right behind it is Forest of the Night. These are both terrible episodes, I think for different reasons. Like, Kill the Moon, Forest of the Night is very boring. I don't think Kill the Moon is boring. I think Forest of the Night is a lot more uninteresting and boring than Kill the Moon. I think Kill the Moon is boring, uninteresting, stupid, and confusing. Whereas Kill the Moon, I just think is really, really, really stupid. And the Doctor acts very out of character. He doesn't act like the Doctor. Although Capaldi's still great playing the role, he just doesn't act like the Doctor. And so it's weird. Do all of these things about Forest of the Night pull it down more? Or does the fact Kill the Moon has probably the dumbest thing Doctor Who's ever done, and the moon is an egg? I'm never going to let that go. That's so dumb. That could be the stupidest thing I've seen in a TV show. Probably not, but it's up there. It's really, really dumb. But then I start thinking about it, and I don't know. There's the 2-parter with the girl who died and the woman who lived, which for the most part I don't like. I think it's uninteresting, drawn out, boring. Aside from me loving when Capaldi realizes when he's got his face, I guess that bumps it up a little. Like, Listen I wouldn't put as the worst, because as much as I hate Listen, it's the ending that ruins it. The story, the episode all the way up to the end, I think is pretty good. And I was really enjoying it the first time I watched it. It's just the ending, when it comes all about Clara again. Actually, I think this might be the episode that ruined Clara for me. I think this is the episode where I just started really not liking her, having this much control over the Doctor's past and life that really bothered me. The ending just ruined Listen. I don't really care for the caretaker, but I don't think I actively hate it. I just really don't like it. I do think it's crap. But it has moments. But again, Capaldi has those eras where I think I can pretty easily point to the worst either being Forest of the Night or Kill the Moon. But there's so many ones that are like running really close behind it, like second and third place, with like the parts 2 and 3 of the Monk trilogy. I don't care for. Eaters of Light, I don't care for, but I think it's bad, not crap. I don't think it's in contention for my least favorite. So there's a lot of them there that spring to mind, but at least with Capaldi I can narrow it down to 2, I'm pretty sure. And then there's the 13th Doctor. Trying to pick my least favorite 13th Doctor story. That's like being waist deep in a giant vat of shit and having to pick out and trying to pick out which turd is the worst. Like imagine if you were up to your like neck in utter shit and someone's like, which one of these turds is the worst turd? You're not sitting there thinking, well, let me think about this. You're sitting there thinking, I'm in a big septic tank vat of shit, and I need to get the fuck out of here. That's what you're thinking. Now, granted, again, I like a lot of Series 12, so pretend somebody accidentally flushed maybe some diamonds down into the shit vault. There's a couple of diamonds hidden in there, but do you really want to wade in a vat of shit to try to find them? Because Series 11 is pretty bad. I have a lot of issues. It's really hard for me to pick a least favorite. Although, to be fair, it could be Timeless Children. Although, at least with Timeless Children, you had this possibility that maybe the Master was lying, which a lot of us had. Well, it's the Master, you can't trust the Master. So there was still that in the back of the mind. It was open-ended. Maybe another showrunner could come in and, you know, retcon all of it. But no, then you had episode 5 of Flux where Chibnall's like, oh, time to close that loophole. No exhaust port here, where he doubled down on it. So unless Tectayun is also lying, Timeless Children is canon. The Timeless Child is canon. And so does that make episode 5 of Flux worse? Although there's some other things in episode 5 of Flux I really liked. I loved watching Yaz, Dan, and the Professor running around in that episode in the past. I really enjoyed that part of the episode. I like some of the stuff with the unit too. So, whereas in Timeless Children, it's pretty much just soundly all crap. I hate Timeless Children. So if I had to pick an episode, it's probably Timeless Children. But then Series 11 has so much junk in it as well. It's so hard to pick. Yeah, that's my thought on that. I think Series 11 is pretty bad, but I think Timeless Children could be the worst, actually. I think Timeless Children... Yeah, I think Timeless Children is probably my least favorite Whittaker episode. Just, if nothing else, well, just one, the fact the episode itself is just awful, and two, what it does to the lore is just unforgivable. And its reason for doing it to the lore is just sad and pathetic, personally. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. That's my thoughts on each Doctor's least favorite story. I would like to know what you think of this video and what your least favorite story for each Doctor is. So comment down below and let me know. Other things to do, click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you never miss out on another video. I also have a Patreon if you like what I do and would like to contribute to what I do. There is a link to that down in the description below. I want to give a shout out to my first top tier patron, the 5th Doctor. I really appreciate his support. If you are interested in what I do, again, there is a link to my Patreon down below. It's been really nice watching that grow lately. Thank you to all of my patrons and all of my subscribers. Most importantly, thank you for watching.